never forget that. I'm always
Mm,
dealing with people, and I'm always, working with empathy and compassion.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
whether it's someone that's working directly for me or someone that's being directly impacted by my existence, right?
Yeah.
Because who we are sends ripples throughout the community, whether it's
Mm,
something local or whether it's something, wider than that. Um, so I make sure that whatever I'm doing is always going to be positive and interacting with people in a positive way, because I don't want those ripple effects to be negative, right? I don't want them to go out into the world and be negative.
Oh yeah, it's part two. That's how I come in the room. Like part two for what? See, if you had looked at part one that just posted, you would know part two of our conversation. Okay, let me put my mad face for a second. Okay, good. See, y'all got to be on video to see my mad face and all my other faces. So we're back
yes.
with Mr. Mark. Yes, Mr. Mark Rumnett is
Yes.
still with us. Part two follow up to part one. And we are talking about the black man. No, I'm messing with y'all. I just had to do that to get y'all attention. Y'all wanted some entertainment. Apparently, that is necessary on YouTube, even when you're having a conversation that's deep. But as we told you guys before, we were going to try to get some more males on the show to talk about what they do, who they are, and how they serve in their community. And so Mr. Mark is here. He's been educating us just about various things, history on a whole, Black history, being an educator, mentorship, all of those good things. And we wanted to have him back for part two to see where we go. So here we
Hmm.
go down the road. I did not do word of the day in part one. Yes, the host was
Hmm.
being rebellious because the host had questions. So now Miss Sound is going to throw the word of the day at me, and we're going to see if I can catch and what else happens after that. Miss
All
Sound.
right. So here's the word of the day, again by the late and great Howard Thurman. Keep alive the dream, for as long as a man has a dream in his heart, he cannot lose the significance of living.
I love that. So the dream in the heart for me is what stands out the most, whether it be man or woman in that situation, just thinking of the human being. I think about all of the great athletes that go to the Olympics that we always celebrate and we are rooting for them. Part of what sometimes I feel is missing from their greatness or their story is all the hard work that goes into making them who they are for that one moment that we're waiting for them to show us what they have. And so when I hear the quote, I think about people I have met along the way who society may say they don't look like much. But I tell you, I have learned some of the greatest lessons from them in not only dreaming, but also accepting obstacles and finding the moment to figure out if I go through the obstacle or around the obstacle. And that's
Mm,
something that human beings I've met along the way have given me. And so, this dreaming and having it in your heart, that's what it reminds me of. Remembering those people who have come into my life, that they're not family, they're not blood, they didn't have to stop, but they stopped long enough to tell me not only to keep dreaming, but to accept that obstacles will come and obstacles are a delay, but they're not that deterrent that says you can't still finish the race well. So that's what I
mm,
think of. I don't know how I did, but
mm.
that's what I thought
That
of.
was good. No, no. What you think, Mark? That
Did I do okay,
Well, that was
Professor?
amazing.
was
That was
good.
amazing.
Yeah, that was really,
So
that
that's what
was
I was
really good.
thinking of. Now, Miss Sound's she's gonna control the rest of this flow for us. But one thing we were curious with Mr. Mark in part one, he talked about this rough beginning, early childhood and something about a rough neighborhood. And my curiosity will not let that one sit down. So I'm going to ask Mr. Mark, Mr. Professor, Mr. Administrator, if he would share with us a little bit about the rough start at whatever he wants to share. And the reason why I want him to share this is for us to motivate and empower you that your beginning does not have to be your end. It just doesn't have to be your end. You can cultivate that end with God's help, and you can finish better than you started. So I'm hoping Mr. Mark will tell us a bit about that rough neighborhood, that rough start, and empower all of us as we listen to that part of his story.
Mhm. Leading back, I guess, I can distinctly remember on a cold winter day, we were out at the bus stop waiting for the school bus. And we had broken into an old store that was abandoned. And my mom got one of those old oil drums, big oil drums, because the windows were broken of the store, but we could get in. And she lit it on fire so we could stay warm while we're waiting for the bus. But in that neighborhood, everything around us, all the buildings were torn down. All of it was empty lots. And you could see for miles, these empty lots where buildings used to stand, but they no longer existed. And that was the neighborhood we lived in. We were there, and then I remember we were living in this building, and one day the fire department came, and this kind of connected to why I kind of move and I'm ready to leave at a moment's notice. The fire department says, you got to go, you got to get out. And we had to leave because the building was condemned. It was abandoned, but someone had set a fire next door. And the fire department noticed that we were still there and said, why are you still here? There's no heat. There's no hot water. There's nothing. You had to leave. And I distinctly remember my mom dragging me out the building, and I was upset because I had a bag full of trading baseball cards, and the bag had ripped, and all my cards had fallen out. And she says, "We can't wait. We can't pick them up." And she dragged me out, and we went to this new location, and yeah. And I was like, I'm never gonna hold on to anything. I'm not gonna put any stock in trying to collect anything or hold on to anything. And I guess that's where I got my letting things go, because those baseball cards were important at the time. But once we had to leave and I was pulled out, it was like, well, we can't stop and wait for those things. We have to keep going. We have to keep moving forward.
Yeah. So how do you build today? Because that's just such a unique, interesting reflection of actual events. And for me, they're so crystal clear. When you talk about them, I can get transported there with what you're saying, because I just get pulled into that moment of that. And if you talk about this, one is a superpower of letting things go, because you're probably able to manage your stress level a lot better than most of us by just hands up. I'm just going to let that one go because it's trying to overwhelm me. But then there's the other part of it that then how do you keep the important things? Can you see that certain things are critical? You're an educator. So I'm just trying to figure out how that balances out, that I get to keep these core things, and these things I don't let go, but maybe the other 80% has to go. So how do you balance that within yourself as a person and then transfer that into being an educator and an administrator? Because those are two different superpowers.
Those, I mean, obviously, I wanted to keep those baseball cards. They were very important. At the time, right? I was just a child. I was a kid. But I knew that we couldn't stop, and we had to go, right? The urgency was to leave because we were being evicted. But then I realized that, I put them in its place, in its proper place, right? That there are some things that we do have to hold on to, right? We do keep. And there's some things we can let go. and finding that healthy balance has always been a struggle, right? It's a struggle for me now. It's a struggle for me as an educator, an administrator. What do I keep and what do I let go? Um, when I first got my hands around a program that I'm working on, the program has been around for about 30 years, and there was some changes that needed to be made, and I had to find that balance. Like, what do I keep? What do I let go? How do we navigate into the future? And that takes, a lot of processing, thinking about it. That takes a lot of asking questions. Whether you're, at the beginning of the journey or at the end of the journey, you always got to ask those questions like, what has been working, what hasn't been working, what do you value, what do those people around you value. You have to learn all those things and figure all those things out, and then you'll start to realize what you should keep, and then you'll start to realize what should you let go.
Yeah. In terms of how a situation or any situation you're in when it comes to your work or when it comes to just life in general, what do you feel toward the thing that you immediately say, this gotta go? Like what makes you go, like how would you categorize the things that you just immediately just drop?
Well, you have a bucket, right? You
Yeah.
have those three buckets: high priority, middle range priority, low priority, and you start placing those things in those buckets. And then obviously they'll change, right? Some things you thought initially were low priority might move to a medium priority, and then those things that you must absolutely keep are high priorities. I'll give you another example. Um, uh, and this is a little personal, right? This is a little personal.
Okay.
But
If you can share.
in
As much as, yeah.
2008, we'll just go with it. In 2008 was the financial disaster, right? The country had hit an economic precipice, and we were going over the precipice. Um, the country managed to hold off on the precipice, right? But in my little business that I had owned at the time, we fell off the precipice and lost everything. We were in the middle of losing everything, and I said to my wife, I said, how do you feel about this situation? Are you good? And she said, yeah, I said, look, all the kids need is a routine, right? And they need us we need to stay together, work together, and present them, a routine, a united front that, they can live through, right? That we can normalize some of this experience, but they don't have to know about all the other things that are happening, right? So losing the house, losing the furniture, losing, cars, losing all those things. They didn't have to know about that, but they just needed to know that mom and dad were still there and that we were in a place that there was love, there was support, there was some routine, and we were going to get through it, right? And back to losing everything, what's a middle priority or a low priority? What's a medium range priority? What's a high priority? There wasn't much. There wasn't a lot we kept. We literally had to sell the furniture. We literally had to sell the furniture in the house, anything that moved, so we could eat, right? Because we were losing everything. We lost the business, we lost the house, we lost everything. And yeah, we had to manage. So again, of loss of everything was a high priority, but again, we had to work through that, right? We had to work through what should we keep. So we obviously kept photos and important things that the kids know. But for the most part, we started all over again, and I guess that experience as a child kind of helped shape me to get ready for that experience later on as an adult, right? But if I didn't process those things and I didn't come to some reconciliation with those things, I wouldn't have been able to use that strength that I gained as a child later on in my life as an adult.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. Because wow, I really love how you capitalized on that, because we in most conversation talk about something being traumatic and staying that way, but never finding the flip side of using that traumatic experience and understanding I can rise above again. Like, I'm now older, I'm now wiser. I can rise above again. I
Yeah.
have some decisions to make, but we can be all right if we want to be all right. Because
Yeah.
as a child, right, you don't get that for yourself. An adult has to give you that idea that you're going to be, that they're going to make it okay for you. So I think that's awesome that that's how you transferred that. I think that's super cool. That's cool.
Mm.
All right, Miss Sound is on you because I'm just like, that was cool. That's all I got.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm interested in a day in the life of Mark Rumnett, like in
Mm-hmm.
all your scopes of influence and the things that you are responsible for and called to. What is that like? How do you prepare to be a part of these things that you're called to do in the world? And then how did you just navigate and balance, as well as being a father and husband as well?
Wow, day in a life. I try to keep it simple, right? I get
Okay.
up in the morning. Um, I get the kids off to school. Only my daughter now, so I get her off to school, and I get to work. And I always go in early because that's my me time before the chaos of the day starts. So I like to get to work early. I'm usually there 2 hours early, and I can sit down and start to read my Bible, say a few prayers, get into a healthy mental space, um, and just be me, right, for a moment. And then, obviously, when the door opens, the chaos begins, and that
Mm-hmm.
centering in the morning helps me navigate the rest of the day, right? Whether it's
Mm,
budget, whether it's contacts and conversations and meetings. That morning piece is so important to me, getting through the day, and that's how I kind of get through. And then I get home, obviously, um, and I'm I meet my daughter, take care of her, make sure she's set on her way as far as finishing school or homework or whatever it is. And then my wife, generally comes home, and then we spend a little time, just connecting. How was your day? My day was
yeah.
such and such, and then we're off to bed.
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
it's time to go to
Yeah.
sleep. Do it all over again. But in the morning is when I feel it's that time to just, have a moment to center myself and get grounded, right? Um,
Hmm.
that's generally the routine. And then on the weekends, obviously I don't have 2 hours to go sit somewhere in an office. I usually do it in my house, you know,
Yeah.
um, which is good. Uh,
Yeah.
but I have to have some time to just center myself and just be me. So me doesn't get lost in all the chaos.
Sure. Sure. Do you
I'm just
find
gonna
that
ask:
you?
Are you a check
Oh.
before you get to the heart, Miss Sound? Are you a checklist person? Because I'm just saying, we talking to an administrator here. I heard all the good, cute answers. I'll be trying to behave. However, before you said, then the chaos, the doors open. I mean, have you written a plan of the day yet, or we don't do that? Because I need a little checklist.
Oh yeah, there's a calendar. There's a calendar of activities, calendar of meetings, calendar of things to do. Yeah, absolutely. That has that exists when you're managing many different components. I manage over 130 people throughout the day,
Whoa.
and not I don't contact all of them at any one time, but those things are swirling, throughout the day. The 130 different connecting components to make sure this
Mm-hmm.
operation is working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead,
How
Miss.
do you
I'm sorry,
remind
because I was
yourself?
just like, he just sounded like the cool guy. The door opens. I live in chaos. I'm a superhero. And then the
He's
day I
glowing.
calm down. Yeah. I was like, what am I doing wrong? Can I have some of that? Is there a product?
Yeah. Yeah. No, how do you remind yourself that you are, because you're dealing with people? Because it can, with the amount of people that you have to kind of manage, amount of maybe different departments or different things that you have to correspond or help, connect. Sometimes the functionality may, keep you outside of this understanding of like, this is a person, living, breathing person. Like it could be just the operation, right? And so how do you kind of, remind yourself, get back grounded in like, okay, each person I'm dealing with is a person. They're living, breathing with emotions, feelings, thoughts, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I never forget that. I'm always
Mm,
dealing with people, and I'm always, working with empathy and
yeah,
compassion. Um,
yeah.
Whether it's someone that's working directly for me or someone that's being directly impacted by my existence, right?
Yeah.
Because who we are sends ripples throughout the community, whether it's
Mm,
something local or whether it's something, wider than that. Um, so I make sure that, whatever I'm doing is always going to be positive and interacting with people in a positive way because I don't want those ripple effects to be negative, right? I don't want them to go out into the world and be negative. I always tell people that, yeah, I run a small program for a university, but the ripple effects of our program is wide and varied because the students who are interacting directly with me will interact directly with the other students on campus who may not be in my program, but I
mm,
know whatever I'm giving them, they're going to give out into the community, and it's so many connecting points. So I'm always mindful of who I'm dealing with, always mindful of people. They're people first, and that's how I approach every situation.
mm. Love that.
He's just good. He's just good. There's a product coming. We don't know what the product is called yet. No. So guys, let's
Yes.
get into our gameplay so we can wrap up. And today we have the RV verb word newly created. It's the verb word.
I'm
So
never,
here's how the verb word goes. There are 5 words that I'm going to be throwing out today. And when you hear the words, and they all begin with to, because that's the action with the word, both Mr. Mark and Miss Sound has to tell me a sentence, use the words in a sentence, and then tell me what it means to them. So the first word is to lead. Okay, this is a verb. This is an action, to lead. So first I need a sentence with the 2 words to lead. And you're going to give me a sentence that you're going to create. And then you're going to tell me, what does to lead mean as an action in your individual lives? It's a verb word. When you're ready. Mr.
Uh,
Mark is stressed. He is not getting the
that's the
gold for
emoji.
USA. Does
I
Miss
could go
Sound give us the
first.
gold for USA?
Yeah. At some point, we will need to lead people. And does to lead mean for me?
Yes.
I would say simply it would be leadership. To lead means to listen.
Mm. See the spin on that? She got the gold for USA. She got the gold. Mr. Mark, what you gonna give us? You gonna give us silver, bronze? What you bring home to USA to
I'm
lead?
nervous now.
No.
You got the emojis.
Yeah,
I'm the brown emoji.
you're the brown.
I guess.
Yes.
Go ahead, to lead.
I
Give me a
guess.
sentence with to lead, and what does to lead mean to you?
I say to lead with heart and compassion, right? That's
Mm.
that's what, um, because when you're leading, and you all kind of touched on this, um, you have to understand why you're leading, or why you've been chosen to lead, um, and you have to do it with heart and compassion. Um,
Yeah.
'Cause, everyone that you're touching, and that you're leading, deserves that from you, right? That you can connect
Yeah.
with them. Um, you can feel them. Um, so
Yeah.
it's heart and compassion. To lead with heart and compassion.
Mm.
Hmm.
All right. To mentor.
Ah,
Sentence first and what it means second. To mentor.
to mentor is something that you'll do for life.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Yes.
that.
Yes.
It's
A
not something
mentor.
that is a short term thing, whether it's official,
Mhm,
in an organized setting, or unofficial, right?
mhm,
In an unorganized setting. But it's something that you'll do, for life. And the funny thing is, I think about this word mentoring, and I had the opportunity to have some people speak into my life. But the first thing I did, I remember when I graduated from college and I went back home. The first thing I did was grab up a few young men in the neighborhood and started mentoring them, whether they liked it or not. It's like,
Mm.
hey, y'all need some mentoring, like boom. And one of them went on to, many of them, obviously, many of them went on to do successful things. Um, and one of them, I was the best man at the wedding, and things of that nature. But that's the first thing I thought of when I got home is I need to mentor somebody. I need to
Yeah.
connect with somebody.
Mm.
yeah. Go ahead, Miss Ed.
And I feel like in order to mentor, you need to act as more of a guide. And what that means for me is that my previous histories with mentorship has really made me think that I have to become this person. Like I have to be the
Mm,
carbon copy of this person. And I realized that what mentorship is really guiding you to be the truest version of yourself. Yeah.
Look at y'all in the college. To navigate. To navigate.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
The bumps help us to navigate.
Oh, tell me more.
um, what that means for me is that if there are any things to troubleshoot, how do we learn and grow? How do we um, understand our strengths and resilience if the bumps aren't part of the journey? So we need the bumps and not just the smooth roads in order to navigate life.
Go ahead, Mr. Mark. See what you can do. Cause she just saying
Ah,
to go home for the
that
USA.
was
She just
good.
we both, we both,
Wow. You combined a whole lot of things there. You're like
yeah.
that commercial State Farm. You turned it into a football. You kicked the goal, and I don't know what else to add to
yeah.
that.
Miss Sound loves these word games now. She's like,
I
keep
do.
bringing them because she loves these.
I guess this is where I'm getting an X.
Not at all. Not at all.
yeah.
To navigate, you said, right? To navigate.
Yes.
What do you think, Mark? To navigate.
Oh, to navigate, that's a tough one. I'm lost.
No, why?
He's still trying to figure out how to navigate.
That's
His
right.
GPS start working.
All
It led
right.
me
All
into a
right.
pond.
It gets harder to
Oh,
transform. To
oh,
transform. You should have played with navigate. I'm just trying to tell you.
to transform,
Mm-hmm.
um, means, well, to transform, uh, means to adapt, to overcome.
Mm,
Form, And I think when I think of that word to transform, I'm thinking more like chameleon, changing your colors and spots along the way to adapt to an environment that, could be threatening, could be peaceful, could be, to transform. That's
Okay.
what I think about, to transform,
Mm-hmm.
to adapt, to overcome.
Yeah. I would say in order to transform, you have to revisit some of the places you
Ooh.
ran from. True transformation is really going back to those tough places that we suppress, and standing in them and feeling them fully. Yeah. That's what it means to transform for me.
Okay, last one.
Last one? Okay.
Miss Sounds came for all y'all. She taking names and photographs.
Quiet, but she leading the way.
She ain't playing.
This my spades. This is like spades for me.
She didn't know the game was happening.
I didn't.
I demand a recount.
The last one. To delay.
To who?
Delay. To delay.
Yep, to delay.
That's an interesting
Who's
one.
got it?
You got anything, Mark?
I'm thinking,
Okay.
off my head.
I think we need to improve our relationship with delay. So I think that it always feels like a never. Delay always feels like a never. It feels like a derailing. But I think our relationship with delay can be one of gratitude, because I think it helps us to develop in secret before we get to the thing that we're looking to get to. I think we have to say thank you to delay. Woo. Say thank you to delay.
Ooh,
I've
nice.
never heard that, but I'm gonna I'm gonna have to go say thank you later.
Yeah. Say thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So you, Mr. Mark. Do it for the dudes, Mr. Mark. To delay.
To delay progress is to keep, or is to hold us back, right? To delay progress will hold us back. And that word progress is a word filled with a lot of fraud and anxiety. But progress can be healthy, right? If it's done in a way that is respectful to the environment that that progress is happening in. So yeah, that's what I would say about delay.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for playing that game. That is the RV verb word.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
We love it. Listen, guys, the reason why we've started to do this is because while we want you to always meet our guests and have the conversation, we want our guests to have a great experience, a balanced experience. And this is our way of interacting with our guests outside of the actual topic and just be human beings that can laugh, smile, learn, and play together. So that is the reason why we're doing these now. We've been having fun with them. We hope that you are as well. And so I just thank Miss Sounds for always just rolling with it. She never knows what I'm throwing out there, but she'll catch it. And she rocked today. I'm just saying, USA.
Thank you.
Oh, Miss Sounds.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
She got a lot of thumbs up for Mr. Mark. Mr. Mark, we enjoyed you, sir. Thank you for coming on Raised Voices. We have a lot of information we're taking away, things for us to revisit. for us to rethink. Y'all got to see him on video. And we appreciate you being a person, a male who stood up and joined the conversation with us and really also shared some of your personal things that I know you don't often speak about out loud. And I'm happy that you don't look like what you came from and came through. So salute to you.
Yes.
Miss Sound is going to take us into the rise and fall before we close. But a heartfelt thank you from Raised Voices to you, Mr. Mark Rumnett. Thank you so much, Mr. Educator, father, leader in the community, man of faith. Thank you for coming aboard.
Absolutely. So, Mark, we just one more thing. One more thing. We just need one more reflection. Okay. Um, after all that we said today, we do this thing called Rise and Fall where we kind of reflect on the conversation and we split it into two categories. One is rise. So after this conversation today, what resonated with you that you'll continue to let rise in your life, in your day to day? And then there's fall, which is what did you come here believing at one point? But then after the conversation, it just changed something in you and you feel differently about it. So would you like to start? I'll pass it to you, Mark. So you can start. Yeah.
Oh, you want to start with me?
Yes.
I guess what is going to rise in me, obviously, is my passion and love for mentoring, right, and to continue to support our communities, whether it's here in the Hudson Valley or anywhere I tend to go. That's something I'll always continue to let rise. What's going to fall? I don't know. That's something I would have to think about. Again, processing, loss, right? Processing what I should actually let go, right? I'll have to put that in a bucket.
Yeah.
Because things that fall away, some of them can fall away and not exist anymore, right? And some of them can fall away just for a moment and come back. So that's something I want to think about. So
sure,
I'll throw it off to you two hosts.
Yeah,
lovely hosts, and you'll come back.
Yeah, that's a good fall though. That's a good put it in a bucket. We'll get back to it. Yeah, I'm going to let rise your description about detachment and really kind of letting go of the things that are temporal. I think that has revived in me, and I think I will continue to let that rise, and not getting caught up in the day-to-day things that I want to cling to. So I think that is great. And then for fall, I would say it would be more of still kind of a rise, but I just want to continue to see people and not fall into just the production of things with people, but to know that I'm producing alongside actual human beings.
It's so good. We should have her go last. Oh, she just really bringing the goal home. Y'all don't understand here. Wow. Okay. So what I'm going to let rise is, I like what you talked about, the history and having someone you can dialogue with that knows more about the history that you're in search of or that you're investigating, and taking time to sit and have those conversations with those who have a lot more knowledge to see what are the pieces that I have that's incorrect, because if I know my history better, then I'm able to represent myself better and therefore to speak into others' lives when the opportunity arises. What I don't want to speak is something that's totally incorrect. So, so seeking out those, rising in terms of seeking out those who know more, and just kind of revisit if I know the things I want to know in terms of my history itself. So that's going to rise from our conversation today, Mr. Mark. So thank you for that reminder. And the things to fall is, I really never thought of the youths going into colleges having the hope there. So what I want to let fall to the ground is my thought process that you should celebrate going into college, make it through, deal with the trauma after. That's a bad ideology. Because when I was growing up, there was none of that type of help in colleges. And I think I've stopped there and not open my mind to understand that things have evolved. And there is help right there on the ground, right there in the field. So if I know of anyone that's going through as they're going through college, tell them to go seek some of the help that's right there at ground zero with them instead of having to wait later to deal with them. So I want that ideology of mine to fall. I want to bury that and open my mind to the fact that there's help on ground zero. Because I never thought of that. So future risers, we came. Hopefully you saw if your video is on. Yeah, this is the 6th time I said it. I meant to say it. I think we have accomplished what we set out to do in this conversation. And we hope that you will see there are people that we will bring that will be very human, that will tell you of their experiences, that will break it down in a way that even you can digest it, that you can still celebrate not only the people we bring to you, but see like-minded individuals in your community. Just salute them. Say a kind word to them if they remind you of someone. So we came and we have accomplished what we set out to do. And we want you to go into your community, in your home, in your church, in your places that you commune. And we want you to do likewise. Celebrate the unsung heroes. They are everywhere. They're not wearing capes. They're sitting right next to you. Say a kind word, do a good thing, and let us all transform ourselves so we can navigate this life that is given to us. Stay empowered. Stay in tune with who you are. Rise up, because only you can. And we will see you for the next conversation. Have an amazing day.
Bye, guys.
Risers.